Nice. Alright, so this is a first. Right or no?
I
Or
think
am
we've
wrong?
done August D.
Okay.
We'll check it out.
Alright. Let's check it out. Haegeum? How do you pronounce that?
I don't know. I like the way it sounded when you said it.
Haegeum.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복잡되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복잡되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복잡되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 해석되는 자유 yeah. 개소리는 out yeah. 표현들의 자유 어쩌면 누군가의 조금 자유분방한 자유일런지 당신의 판단과 추측이 확실한 신념들이 있는지 당신의 자유와 타인의 자유가 동일하다 믿는지 그렇다면 주저 말고 올라타봐 금지된 것들로부터 해봐 각자의 취향조차 이해들을 못하는 불행 아닌 시대를 살아가는 이들을 위한 이 노래는 금지된 것을 푸는 것뿐이지
Oh my god, I love that. Because the whole time I was like, what is Haegeum? And he's telling you what it is. It's obviously open for interpretation, but it's freeing what's forbidden. And I love that so much. It speaks to me so much.
Oh yeah, and this song's highly philosophical, right? Like even this one line, but you must remember to differentiate freedom from self-indulgence, right? And that's so true. I immediately think of the Buddhist philosophy, like there's the middle path, right? Like on one end of the spectrum, it's self-indulgence, excessiveness. And on the other side of the spectrum is like deprivation. It's not about overeating or doing all the things that you desire, but it's also not about depriving yourself of all those things. It's about finding this middle path where you can experience life, but you're not being excessive and you're not depriving yourself, right? So I love like the aspect of making that differentiation.
Yeah. It's that moderation.
Exactly. And that line, there's a lot he says here, but like, who don't even understand their own taste, which I think indicates that you're adopting the taste of other people. It's not actually yours. Like you haven't really found your taste. You haven't found yourself. You're just simply a mirror of what society is. And you're just adapting to that. And so you're becoming that as opposed to being a unique individual.
I like that. And I love the way it sounds. It sounds very, I think what they would call it is like drill. I think of Fabio Foreign. Like all his music's very drill sounding. And the fact that he like stabbed someone with chopsticks, like chopsticks, I read somewhere where chopsticks were used as like knives at one point. Like you can cut anything and everything with chopsticks.
Apparently it's more multi-purpose than we think it is, right?
Yeah. Except for soup.
금지된 것들로부터 해박 각자의 취향조차 이해들을 못하는 불행 아닌 시대를 살아가는 이들을 위한 이 노래는 금지된 것을 푸는 것뿐이지 허나 자유와 방종의 차이지만 부디 구분하길 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 올라타봐 지금 복작되는 리듬 또 다른 해금 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 쏟아지는 정보들은 세상의 자유들을 금지시킨 가동시에 사상의 통일성을 원해 왜내 머리 앞에 각종 오이즈는 눈을 가리고 이제는 생각에 좌우조차 범의 각종 논란들은 판단들의 혼란들을 야기시키고 또 쉴 틈 없이 생산되네 과연을 금지시킨 건 무엇일까 어쩌면 우리 자신 아닐까 자본의 노예 돈들의 노예 중고심과 편견 혐오의 노예 유튜브의 노예 플렉스의 노예 이기심과 탐욕이 미쳐나지는 눈 감으면 편해 모든 게 뻔해 이득에 따라서 뻔히 갈리는 결의 시기와 질투에 다들 말해 눈들이 먼해 서로가 서로의
He says so much. I like his critique of society, right? Like everything he's saying is so accurate. Like this idea of, like the way I interpret it, it's like this idea of happiness coming from attention, coming from like views, coming from, you know, like chasing money, which all of it is just this, really just this need to be recognized. And these are just the ways we go about doing these things. And so we become a slave. We become a slave to the opinions of other people. We become slaves to how people perceive us, because that's what we're constantly acting towards. Like we want to be seen a certain way, so we're a slave to that because we can't be unique if we're constantly just thinking about like how do we want this person to see me, how do I want to be seen in the world, like I want to feel like I have status, so maybe I should be on YouTube, Instagram. And so his critique is I think really accurate, especially for the times. And that's why he's like, oh, like I feel bad for people who are born in these unfortunate times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that his eye has like a slash. And I wonder if it symbolizes something deeper than most people can see. Because like the eyes obviously symbolize things that you can see, right? I close my eyes and it's easy. It's also obvious. Like being able to see it, but having a slash on your eye, I wonder if it's almost like he can see beyond it. And so he had to like go through something. I don't know. I feel like there's a reason for it. I'm just trying to understand what it is.
For me, I think of a wound, right? Like, and if you think about, like, I hate that I have to even bring it to trauma, but if you think about like what trauma actually means, it's the Latin translation for trauma is wound. Like I also think of like Scar from The Lion King. Scar, like he has this scar in his eye. He's obviously bad in the sense that he's envious, which is what he's talking about as well. Like he's envious, he's jealous of Mufasa, his brother, and he's willing to kill his own family to have this need to be seen and recognized as the king. And I don't think it's not as simple as Scar being evil. It's a matter of like, why is Scar like that? I think it'd be really interesting if Disney created an origin of like
they should.
Scar and Mufasa and how they grew up, right?
Right? Imagine like this whole time Mufasa like bullied Scar and didn't like let Scar have a piece of the throne or whatever.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that would be really insightful, giving the perspective of Scar. Like no one really understands Joker till the Joker came out. Yeah. And when the Joker came out, it's easy to be like, of course he was like that. Mm-hmm. That's why he was nihilistic and cynical. Look how he was brought up. And how
did Scar get his scar? Imagine it was from Mufasa.
I think he got into a fight with Mufasa. And I think that's implied, but it's not actually stated.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you think about lions, they fight to be on the top of the hierarchy. And I don't want to go on a whole Lion King conversation.
You're like low-key nerding out right now. And like his character right now, like you can see he's being portrayed as a thug, but also someone that's just like kind of like a menace to society. But what he's saying is there's so much truth behind it. And so you can kind of understand why he's become someone that is like in the streets with like his gang with these masks on, just, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
어쩌면 우리 자신 아닐까 자본의 노예 돈들의 노예 중고심과 편견 혐오의 노예 유튜브의 노예 플렉스의 노예 이기심과 탐욕이 미쳐나지네 눈 감으면 편해 모든 게 뻔해 이득에 따라서 뻔히 갈리는 결의 시기와 질투에 다들 말해 눈들이 먼해 서로가 서로에게 적세를 거는 것도 모른 채 정보의 쓰나미에서 쓸려내려가지 말길 우린 자유와 방종의 차이지만 모두 구분하니 yeah. 이 노래는
And I love that it's him pointing the gun at himself, which indicates like you're killing yourself. You're doing it to yourself.
I looked at it as differently. I think it kind of touches on like the masks that we have. And so like this version of him holding the gun with like the suit, like I think this is him trying to conform. Whereas like maybe the other side of him, maybe the rebellious side of him, is like kind of like when like the devil is talking in one ear and like the angels talk on the other side. I think like for him, like he's confronting himself almost.
No, I 100% agree with that.
And the conformed version is about to kill him, meaning like he's about to win.
Yeah, and that's the same point I was getting at, right? Like it's you doing it to yourself. Like it's this internal conflict, right? This cognitive dissonance. There's a part of you that's like self-indulgent. That's why he's in a bath full of money. That's a part of him that wants that. And then there's a part of him that's like, what are you doing to yourself? Which is what you're speaking about, his shadow side, his other side. That's like clearly there's something wrong. You have some conflict about how you're going about living your life. And so this is, like you said, you're 100% right. It is a conflict between him and another part of him, like, because we have different parts of ourselves. One conforming, that persona side of us that wants to be accepted, and another side of us that I think is deeply unique, that we don't actually want to be like that.
정보의 쓰나미에서 쓸려내려가지 말길 우린 자유와 방종의 차이지만 모두 구분하니 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 올라타봐 지금 복작되는 리듬 또 다른 해금 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah. 이 노래는 해금 yeah. 올라타봐 지금 yeah. 복작되는 리듬 어쩌면 이 또한 또 다른 해금 yeah.
Joker. Oh. See, I think we did that one. That one looks familiar.
Yeah. And it's funny, we mentioned Joker and then he has that Joker reference.
Yeah.
And like I love Joker as a character because he's like anti-society, anti-establishment. Like when you think about like, and I probably watched Dark Knight probably more times than I should have, but you think about like his philosophy, which is, you know, like he's very cynical. He feels like people are all about themselves and, you know, all they care about is money. And that's why Joker, like he burns half of his stack in The Dark Knight, which is something he also does. You can see the influence of The Dark Knight in this video when he burns the money, because it's the same thing Joker does, which means like he doesn't care about money. Like that's the last thing on his mind. He's not like you, like basically saying like he's not like society, like everyone's chasing money. He's not in it for that. He's just a different animal. I like the song a lot and the references used.
Yeah, I also saw like Fight Club references too, like Tyler Durden. Tyler Durden. Doesn't Brad Pitt wear like a floral shirt?
I think so. It's been a while since I watched that movie. I can't really remember.
Yeah, and like, I mean, not to spoil Fight Club for those who didn't watch Fight Club, but like at the end you realize, you know,
You realize what?
fighting with himself.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. You could spoil it. It's old.
I see. What does Haegeum mean? Haegeum.
And then?
Let me just look it up. Haegeum. Alright, it's not going to give me any definition.
It might just be his own.
It's a musical instrument played with a wooden bow. Interesting. Yeah, it's an instrument.
I see.
Meow.